Hello everyone, welcome to the lab section of first chapter, the basics of web design. So in this section, you're going to learn how to code your first web page. So you're going to write coding for your first web page. So before going into the lab practice, I'll just explain the code, okay, and then I'll tell you how to download IDE, how to open the new file, okay. Okay, so what you see here is the text editor page, okay. So where I have written the coding, okay. So you can see the first line I have mentioned about in the lecture. I have specified something about document type, right? So DTD. So that is a kind of version, like you're just saying, speaking to a browser and saying that I'm going to use the HTML5 version. As you know, HTML has different versions, HTML4, 3 and XHTML, different versions of HTML markup languages a browser can understand. So before we communicate with, we write this code, we have to specify what kind of version, what kind of language that we are using for this code, for this particular web page. So we are saying this is the DTD. So we are saying that we are going to use HTML5. So when the browser sees this line, it will understand that we are going to use HTML5 version. Okay. So then the starting tag, the HTML opening tag. Okay. So opening tag, and this one is closing tag. So as I have mentioned in the lecture, all the web page, all the coding starts with opening HTML tag and ends with closing HTML tag. Okay, so opening tag doesn't have the slash, and in the closing tag there should be the slash. Okay, so this is kind of, as I have mentioned, it's kind of that wrapping up a burger. And then the HTML has two sections, right? Head section and body section. So please refer that last section 5 video tutorial, okay, so to understand these concepts. So it has two sections, so head section and then body section, right? So there are two sections. So the head section open with the head tag, open heading tag, and closes with the closing heading tag. Okay, so inside this head section, whatever we have specified, that is not going to get displayed as a web page, but it is like a description about the page. Okay, so description about the page, like including the title, what title that that is going to appear in the tab, and what character encoding we want to use, we want browser to use. So where character encoding, so if you don't know what is character encoding, please refer section 5 where I have mentioned everything about all these components. Okay, so that is about, so title tag, to specify the title you have to specify what title you want to appear. For example, here you can see my first HTML5 web page. So let me open this in the browser. So you can see my first HTML5 web page. So it appears here in this tab. So whatever you specify between the title tag will appear here, that is tab. Okay, and then what else? So that is the title, and the character encoding is meta tag. So you can see all the other tags, HTML, head, body, title, everything has closing tag, but this meta tag doesn't have any closing tag. So it is called a standalone tag. So few standalone tags are there, like a line break and horizontal line, few standalone tags are there that we will see. But this is the first standalone tag that we see. Meta tag is the standalone tag which doesn't need any ending closing tag, because it is applicable to the whole, for the whole web page we are using the character encoding. We are not changing the character encoding ever. This is for the whole page. Okay, so it doesn't have any closing tag. And then head section closes here. Okay, so the browser will understand whatever is specified here is the description about the page. And then the body section starts here with the body tag, Okay, so inside this body tag with the opening body tag and closing body tag, whatever you have specified here inside this, in between these opening body tag and closing body tag will appear in the browser. For example, you can see that here we have only this content, hello world, right? So if I have opened the page in the in the browser, and you can see whatever I have specified that appears here. The hello world appears here. Okay, so that is the body section. So the content, actually what is getting displayed, should be there in the body section. Okay, and then closing off. Then the ending HTML tag says the browser that this is the end of the coding. Okay, the coding is done. So then the browser will start interpreting the code. Okay, so this is the your first hello world. So in computer science, it's a tradition to when you learn a new language, you will write a hello world coding to understand the basics, like syntax of basics of that particular language to start with. Okay, so this is the hello world program for the HTML. So first, your first coding. Okay. Okay, so now I have explained the coding. Now you are going to do it along with me. Okay, so for this, first open up a browser and download Atom IDE. Okay, so when you use the search word keywords Atom, then you can find atom.io. So open up this page. It will direct you to this page where you can see this option. So you can just click on download. If you have some other OS, then select the OS, but if you have Windows, it will let you to download it directly. So I have already downloaded it, so I'm not going to download, but click download. So it will download the install it. It will install the Atom for you. Okay, so you can see it will look like this. So once it gets installed, downloaded, it will look like this. The symbol will look like this. If you open up this symbol, if you open up this icon, it will open the hello world page. So it may have welcome window, all those things. So you can just close all those things. When you want to open a new file, click new file. So this is your new file. Okay, so now we are going to write your first code. You can pause the video and do all those things. Download the Atom IDE in your PC, and then open a new page. Open a new file. You can pause the video. In case if you don't want to use Atom IDE in your laptop, you can simply use Notepad or TextEdit. So if you have Windows, then you can use Notepad. So the Notepad will look like this, simple basic text editor. Okay, so all of your, if you have Windows OS, all of you will have this Notepad basic text editor in Windows OS. Okay, so if you use Mac OS, then you will have TextEdit, whatever it is, but I prefer to use Atom IDE. So you can install Atom IDE and open up the page. Okay, great. So let's start coding. So I'm going to specify doc type. So I'm first. So remember, your first line should be always the DTD. Okay, so we are going to specify that we are using HTML5. Okay. Okay. So the next line is always the opening and closing tag. Okay, opening and closing tag. And then the next section is all the web pages has two sections basically. So head section starts with opening head tag and closing head tag, and then the body section starts with opening body tag and closing body tag. Okay, so it doesn't matter, you don't need to leave the same space your web browser will ignore the spaces. Okay, so don't worry about the spaces and all, but all you need to care is whether you have this greater than symbol and less than symbol, that is the tag. And when you close it, if you open a closed head tag, don't forget to close it. It should have this backslash. Okay, so all you need to worry about is this tag syntax. So don't mind about the spacing what I have given. Just for the clarity, I have given that space, but it doesn't matter. Even if you write it one after another, it doesn't matter. Browser will simply ignore the space. Okay, so refer the tutorial. So what will be there in the head section? It will have title tag and meta tag, right? Let's start with the title tag. So what is your title is going to be? My first web page. It's going to be your title for your first code. Okay, and then you have to specify the meta tag where you're specifying what kind of character encoding the browser has to use to translate this into a computer code, binary code, okay, binary language. So we are specifying that we are going to use UTF-8, right? Character char set. So you can see it appears here. When you type, it will appear. So attribute. So this one is called attribute. So I have already explained this. What is attribute in the slide where I have explained the basics of HTML. So attribute is the kind of thing that explains much about the tag. Okay, so this attribute char set explains further, like it gives more details about this meta tag. Okay, so what character encoding that we want? There are different type of character encoding as I have specified in the lecture, ANSI, ASCII, UTF-8, 16, right? So there are different character encoding. In that, what kind of character encoding that we want to use? So we want to use UTF-8. Okay, UTF-8 is the character encoding that we want to use. So we have specified that. Similarly here, you can ignore or you can specify the even HTML tag has an attribute called language attribute. Normally, if you are not specifying anything, by default it is English, but if you want, you can specify it. Okay, so that is language attribute. Or I don't want to confuse you, you can just leave it. Even without specifying that, it will work, because by default English is the language that we are going to use, that default language. The next section is the body section where we are going to specify the content that we want to display in the web page, right? So simply we are going to display hello world. It is my first coding, or it is my first web page. Whatever it is. If you have never done coding before, you can say it is your first coding, or if it is your you have done coding, you can say it is your first web page. Okay, so save this. That's very important. Save this as hello world .html, which is really important. So if you are not saving it as a HTML file, MIME, what is MIME? It's a file extension, right? File type. So if you don't save it as a HTML file, then the browser will not understand this. Okay, so it's really important for you to save this file as .html so that the browser can read and interpret it. Okay, so .html, save this. Okay, so I'm going to this folder where I have saved this file. Let me pull it here. Okay, so this is the file that I have saved. So it says saved as the hello world. Okay, so you can see, since I have saved it as a HTML file, you can see this icon. It looks this Chrome. So Chrome is my default web browser. So it appears as a Chrome type. But if you didn't have Chrome as your default browser, if Internet Explorer is your default web browser, then you will see Internet Explorer icon. but I recommend you to use Chrome as your default browser. So I repeat, please use Chrome as your default browser. If you didn't set it up, go to your settings and change Google Chrome as your default web browser. The reason is many of the basic coding will work like HTML5 gets along with the Chrome browser. Okay, so I recommend you to use Chrome as your default. Okay, now let's open it. Double click it. If you double click it, it will open the browser page where whatever I have typed here, that will appear here. Hello world, it is my first web page. Okay, so if I am changing something else, I enjoy coding. I'm adding this, then I'm saving this, and then refresh the page. I enjoy coding. So whatever you have put inside this Atom IDE, Atom text editor, that will appear here in your browser. Okay, so only criteria is you have to save this as .html file. Okay, so if you have any questions in this lab practice, you can reach out to me. Okay, so see you in the next section.